Hi, I'm Darren Clark. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Business Services with the School District of Waukesha. And this is the third video um, voiceover I've done on a presentation that's been shared with numerous community groups across the school district. And this section is going to talk about the proposed solution and the financial impact, but then also talk about the community survey that we'll be sending out in mid-April because we're simply to the point where um, you can plan all you want, but at some point you really need to get some feedback from the school community you're serving as to what direction the district should go. So again, we'll walk through the proposed solution, and I'll try to provide any feedback I can think of as we're going through this to help answer any questions you might have. So again, just to touch on some brief financial information that's been shared in previous portions of this presentation. But I think it's important to know the financial lens that the district's looking through that even makes these types of discussions possible. So this slide here is the tax rate for all the K-12 school districts in Waukesha County. Arrowhead's not in here, you'll notice. They're a unified high school and they have separate elementary districts that feed into them, so it's hard to come up with a K-12 version of Arrowhead's tax rate. But all the other districts in the county are in here. And this is 2016-17 budget data. But I pulled it from the Taxpayers Alliance, so that's why it's a year old. But Waukesha's tax rate for this fiscal year is actually $8.21. Just to give you an idea where we've gone over the last 12 months. So you'll see here that Waukesha is the lowest tax rate in the county. We're also well below the state average, and this is the area or county average. So in terms of taxation, we believe we do very well in comparison to our neighbors. This is the same analysis, but I've been asked, well, is it fair to compare Pewaukee to Waukesha? We're obviously two different entities in terms of size and structure with all the sites. So I did the same thing with all the large school districts in the state. So the Madisons, the Green Bays, Oshkosh, Eau Claire, Janesville's of the state. So I think there's some validity to is the Waukesha County comparison fair? But I think between these two graphs, it gives you a good idea of where we fall in terms of taxation with these two peer groups. Again, the Madison Milwaukee's are $11 plus. Kenosha comes in. Kenosha down through Oshkosh are at $10. The large district average is basically $10, and Waukesha is at $8.66. Here's our tax rate information since 2000. We've been as high as $10.46. We're currently at $8.21. The average over that time is $8.96. We were slightly lower than our current $8.21 leading up to 2008, but if you've been around or were around then or a homeowner at the time, valuations or values of properties were very high during this period, and then 2008 came and valuations dropped. Well, the rate moves, it's an inverse relationship between the two. The rates jump because of the loss of tax base. Now I think we've corrected, and this is kind of a reasonable measure of where we are. And again, we came in at 821 this past fiscal year. This chart here, because to do these facility improvements obviously involves taking out some long-term debt. So this chart here shows how much debt in dollars, principal debt, the districts in Waukesha County have. The blue bar is where they ended fiscal year 2016. The green bar is where they ended 2017. Economowoc has been doing a lot of facility reinvestment. They have about $80 million of outstanding debt. Elmbrook put major work into their high schools several years ago. They still have $60 million in debt. Muskego and Mukwonago, those districts recently passed referendums, so you can see they issued new debt. That's why the green bar is so much larger than the blue. Mukwonago, for example, just put $50 million into their one high school. But overall, there's a lot of debt out there. Here's Waukesha, and this bar is very low, and keep in mind we're 3 or 4 times bigger than these other our districts, and this is just dollars of outstanding debt in principal. We have $3 million of outstanding debt right now, and we will be debt free in 2021. Hamilton, that is below us in this graph, just passed $57 million referendum or somewhere in that neighborhood, so they'll be issuing new debt next year to take on the scope of work that was identified in that referendum process. So again, we have a very, especially for our size, have a very, very strong position when it comes to debt. So we're going to go over the costs that we're projecting. These were some of the assumptions that went into calculating the potential cost of the improvements that are identified in the solutions. So I just wanted to share those with you just to, again, give you an idea of where we were in the data that went into it that drove us to what's going to be included in the community survey that's going to be sent out in mid-April. So here's a one-page summary. This is in the box to the right over here. There is a larger version of this that will be on the website that you can go look at. I just wanted to take a snapshot of it and insert it. You can read it fairly well, but please, if you have you want to see it in a little larger font, feel free to go out to the website and take a look. So we broke it down into 6 pieces, but I want to stress the arrows at the bottom show that the 3 boxes on the second row are all interconnected. They're not standalone work. So I'll go through each and give you a little background, and then you'll have a pretty good idea of what the solution is we're considering. So enhanced safety and security, $12.2 million. This includes the construction of secure entrances at Horning, Butler, and Les Paul or Central. But it also includes a pool of funds to improve what we've already done in terms of school security at our elementary and high school levels as well. And here's some of the things that we would be looking to do. It's not a complete list. When you have a small box, to list them all is just not possible, but we wanted to give you a general idea. We would add lockable interior doors to partition off the schools. Our buildings being, on average built in the early 60s, building segmentation is lacking. Be able to lock down certain areas of a building would be a significant increase. So these funds would be used to do that at all of our sites. Some of our sites, need very little in terms of security upgrades, but there's other ones that would need a more significant investment. Additional security cameras, and then other additional safety improvements across the district, and that's a whole slew of things. If you have questions about that in greater detail, feel free to reach out to me. The next box is renovate Horning Middle School. Grade configuration would not change. It would still serve 6th through 8th grade students. Again, we would construct a new secure entrance. I've listed that there, but the costs are all, anything security related is in the first box, but I listed it under each school just to make sure people know that we're going to be doing those things specifically at the middle schools. We have the ADA code compliance issues at Horning. We'd upgrade mechanical systems and then renovate instructional spaces. Again, there's no change in attendance area or grade configuration at Horning Middle School. Les Paul or Central Campus Middle School, we would construct a secure entrance, improve ADA, upgrade mechanical systems, and renovate instructional spaces. In the first part of this presentation, I talked about their cafeteria and bringing that down and then reconstructing new. We don't have that in the plan right now. If the bids come in significantly better than what we're anticipating, we would go back and reconsider that. But as of now, we are not considering that as an improvement that would be covered. You'll notice that Les Paul, in comparison to Horning and Butler, has a much lower dollar amount. And as I mentioned in the previous portion of this presentation, Les Paul, even though it's our oldest building, is also the most recently renovated middle school, and is actually one of the most recently renovated schools in the district. So when that renovation occurred in the 1990s, a lot of the ADA type issues, they were brought up to code at that time. So again, it seems counterintuitive, but Les Paul, even though it's the oldest building, is in a better place in terms of ADA and costs like that than Horning and Butler that have not had any sort of major reinvestment since they were originally constructed. So again, Les Paul, no change in grade configuration or attendance area. The new middle school would allow us to move, and that's why you have the arrow on the bottom, would allow us to move the existing Butler Middle School students to that new site. And then, ADA and security would be all the latest design ideas that are out there because you'd be working with a clean slate. Once that new middle school is constructed, we would transition the Butler students out there, and then we would come back to Butler and repurpose Butler to be this would have a change in grade configuration. It would become a K-8 or kindergarten through 8th grade STEM site, and a lot of the same improvements that have happened at the other middle schools in terms of secure entrance and ADA would also happen at Butler. The biggest improvement there, though, I think in terms of service is the inclusion of an elevator. Right now, Butler's a 3-level school or 3-floor school with no elevator. So not only do we get the secure entrance from the addition that we've designed, we would also be able to provide that accessibility that Butler has not ever had, and I think it's an important improvement that we would be looking to do. So once Butler is repurposed, we would decommission or sell Randall STEM or Saratoga STEM campuses. So those three, again, they all come together. They all work together. So that's why those arrows are there on the bottom. So that's the plan in summary, and the cost estimates are provided under each. Again, all the safety and security at the middle schools and the other schools are all in that $12.2 million. I just listed the secure entrance under each school again, just to make sure you are aware that that work would be done. So projected budget, and this is the number that will be included in the survey, and here's again the breakdown by site or in the terms of safety and security under that topic area. The total comes to $104 million. So that's the total you'll see when you get your survey in at April. The tax impact, though, the $104 million is the total, but we wanted to break it down to what's the household impact of this kind of reinvestment in the district. Before I get into that, I'll just touch on the orange box to the right. One of the key differences between what other districts may be presenting for a significant reinvestment and what we're doing is they often use a 20-year amortization schedule. It's just like a home, 15 or 20 or 30-year mortgage. Well, our plan and this tax impact is based on a 15-year amortization, meaning this tax impact would go away at the end of that 15-year period. The savings in doing that, if we were to take that same principal amount and do it on a 20-year amortization, is over $13 million based on our interest rate assumptions. $13 million plus for taxpayers by that shorter amortization schedule. So we know it's a big spend, but we think that short amortization is a better fit for us. So based on those factors, and all the assumptions are listed to the right here, the impact, the average household in Waukesha is about $200,000. We provided mainly $100,000, so you can do the math on what your house is worth. But on a $200,000 house, the impact would be $192 per year for 15 years. This chart goes back to the tax rate comparisons that we looked at earlier in those groups of large school districts, Waukesha County, and the state average. And the purpose of this chart is to show you how we compare and how we would compare after this level of investment if it were to be approved or some version of it. So this bar here, this is the large district. Average tax rate's $10.08. That's $1.42 above where we were in 16-17. Again, this is information from the Taxpayers Alliance. This bar here is the state average and how much below we are, or the variance between the state average and Waukesha. And then the county average, they're at $9.95. That's $1.29 above where the school district of Waukesha is. So even with adding that 96 cents of tax impact on that 15-year amortization, if we were to add that, we would still be well below the county, state, and large district tax rate averages. So that's what I'm trying to display in this slide. So again, if we added that 96 cents, we would still be taxing below the state, local, and large district averages. The timeline going forward, April, that's actually mid-April of 2018. We're shooting for the week of April 16th. We're going to be sending out a community survey to every household in the district. It's about 8 pages front and back. So it walks you through, it provides you some background information, it provides you some tax information, and that's the information in the survey is actually this year's data rather than the taxpayers' 16-17 data. We pulled this year's data off of the Department of Public Instruction's website. And then in May, at the end of May, the board has scheduled a workshop to review the survey results. The results of the survey will also be available on the website for the community to review. So again, be looking for that survey. It'll come, it's a full page, 8.5 by 11 document. So hopefully we can get as much response. I think we've scheduled 20 some community group meetings. We'll do an article or an ad in the Freeman, our website and social media. We're trying to get the word out there as much as possible because we really want a strong cross-section of our community's feedback on how we should move forward. So again, in May, the results will be made available to the board, and then around June 1st, the public will also have full access to it. The survey itself, just a few things to touch on. Again, a survey is going to be sent out to every address in the district in mid-April. Community members can either fill out and mail their responses back to us in the enclosed envelope, so there'll be an envelope included with your survey, or you can go online and complete the survey. Each survey has a unique code assigned to it to guarantee one response per person. If you do live in a household where you have more than one voting age adult, you can contact the school district and we can provide you either another survey or another code to allow that individual to respond as well. So we're trying to again make this as broad of a survey as possible. I just touched on if more than one adult in your household would like to fill out the survey, please contact the school district to secure a second survey code. If an adult member of your household would prefer a translated version of the survey, one will be provided. There'll be a translated version online that people can go to fill out if that situation is needed. Contact information to either secure a second survey code and or a translated survey is provided in your survey document. So on the cover page there'll be phone numbers that you can reach out to us and we'll answer any questions you have. And then the survey responses are all due by May 9th. That'll give us a couple of weeks to, we've hired a third-party firm to do the tabulation and to manage the survey. So we'll give them a couple of weeks to tabulate it all, and then at the end of May, we'll be having a board workshop again to review the results. Here's my contact information, so feel free to reach out to me via email or phone if you have any questions. Also, actually all the information that we have related to this process is out on the district's website under Facilities Update. So feel free to go out there and review that information, and hopefully I've answered most of your questions. And again, if not, feel free to contact me. Otherwise, I appreciate your time. Thanks.